Hello, everyone. Welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 320. Been doing this podcast for a while. So, oh, I'm Andrew, by the way. Hi, how are you? Um, Nintendo did a Nintendo Direct this week. I watched it, all 44 minutes of it, and, it was good. Whether you are interested in any of the... God, I don't know. They must have had nearly 36 games on display. Whether you are interested... It's totally possible and perfectly okay if you are completely uninterested in absolutely anything that Nintendo has to offer. That's a shame, but that's okay. But what you cannot deny is that Nintendo is very good at these digital streaming presentations from the perspective of letting the viewer know what the game is. There are very few titles among the nearly 36 titles on display that anyone would watch the presentation and go, okay, what's the game though? And that's something I greatly admire. I mean, that seems like bare minimum, a very low standard, but I mean, you watch stuff from Sony or Microsoft or really anyone else, and they all seem to just completely fail to clear the extraordinarily low bar of what's the game. So, tonight we are going to go through the entire Nintendo Direct, and I am going to regale you with my myriad correct opinions. So, the Nintendo Direct started off with the long in development Pikmin 4. Now, I am a longtime fan of Pikmin. I played the first two games on the GameCube, loved them, it then skipped a generation. Pikmin 3 came out on the Wii U. One of the near launch, if not launch, because I remember Pikmin 3 was, I think, the very first game we saw running on Wii U hardware. And for some, the Wii was a disappointment because Perrin Kaplan once infamously said that the Wii was essentially, from a technological standpoint, or from a visual fidelity and graphical display standpoint, essentially two GameCubes duct taped together. She wasn't wrong. The Wii is barely more powerful than a GameCube. Can it outperform a GameCube? Yeah. Not by... It's not the generational jump one had come to expect from the next generation of home console. You know, you look at the difference between an NES and a Super NES. You know, the visual fidelity, the graphical display technology of NES games and Super NES games. That is a noticeable jump. Between Super NES and N64 is even more obvious because of the switch to 3D. The switch from N64 to GameCube was huge. Still 3D, but oh my god, it's not blurry as hell anymore. You know, stuff actually looks like stuff instead of weird blocky things. But the difference between pardon me, the difference between GameCube and Wii, pretty slight. The Wii natively did widescreen and 480p. Yay, that's cool. Chaos says the Wii was little more than an original Xbox. It's not a bad way to look at it. The original Xbox was a bit more powerful than the GameCube. And the Wii is a bit more powerful than the GameCube. So the Wii and the original Xbox, roughly the same footing. That's really, really difficult to compare consoles like that. But my point was, while Here, let's go on a ride. Ready? Here we go. See my shelf over there? Yeah. Look at all the Wii games I have. That's like 2.5 shelves worth of Wii games. So it's not like there were no good Wii games. There were. Lots of them. I've got a bunch. But I have to admit, Chicago, I was genuinely disappointed when I found out that the Wii was barely more powerful than the GameCube. That was disappointing. Because I'm 40-some years old, 43 years old. I know how old I am, 43. I was born in 1980. So I grew up with some of the earliest generations of home consoles, being like the Atari series, the 2600 and the 7800. And then 1985, the NES came out, and then the Super NES, and the N64, and the GameCube. So throughout my entire life, each successive generation of consoles was a noticeable generational jump from console to console. Even Mom could look at an NES game and look at a Super NES game and be able to tell the difference, right? And you could show Mom, it's like, hey Mom, do you think this is an NES or a Super NES? That's an NES game. How about this one? Oh, this is a Super NES game. Yeah, it's really, really easy to tell, even for the layest of lay. Try to tell the difference between a GameCube and a Wii game? There's a difference. The Wii is a bit more powerful than the GameCube. But for the layest of lay, or even the mildly lay, no, they can't really tell the difference. Which is one of the reasons why so many people were like, is the Wii just a GameCube with the weird waggle controller? Because the games look exactly the same. Right? Because I'm looking at the PS3 and the 360, and that is a full generational jump. That is the next generation of video game graphical display technology. The Wii looks like last generation. Really good last generation, but last generation. So, when the Wii U came out, we all waited with bated breath. Because it had a big jump to do, right? Because the Wii U premiered a year before the PS4 and the Xbox One. Yeah, Xbox One. So, the Wii U couldn't just be a generation ahead of the Wii, because that would just, put it on par with the PS3 and the 360, right? It needed to jump 2 generations because it didn't do a generational jump the last time, right? So, E3 2012 rolled around, and Nintendo's like, okay, we're going to show off Pikmin 3. Oh my god, what's it's going to look like? And we finally saw in-game footage of a game running on the Wii U hardware. And I remember looking at it and going, oh. No, it looks good. It looks like a really, really, really good PS3 game. The PS3 at that point being like 6 or 7 years old. So that was disappointing. It's like, oh, well, this is going to... I mean, is the Wii U more powerful than the 360 and the PS3? A bit. It's essentially the same technological generation. The Wii U was essentially the same technological generation as the PS3 and the 360, both of which had come out like 6-7 years earlier. So the next year, when the PS4 and the Xbox One came out, the Wii U was again, Nintendo had a console that was a full generation behind its contemporaries. Having said that, there are some really, really good games on the Wii U. Not many, which is not to say most of them sucked. It's to say most companies at that point didn't bother porting anything over to the Wii U. So if there was a game on the Wii U, there was a good chance it was an original game. Because the multi-platform games, they didn't bother with the Wii U. Even though it would have been perfectly possible because they bothered with 360 and PS3 ports, they didn't bother with the Wii U. Longtime viewers of my channel will remember my For Everything But Wii U videos, where I meticulously documented all the games that were coming out for the PS3 and the 360, but not the Wii U, even though it could easily run them, being a bit more powerful than consoles it was 6 or 7 years newer than. So yeah, Pikmin 3 was a solid, fun game. I liked it. Pikmin 4 looks like a Switch game. And the Switch is barely more powerful than the Wii U. Is it more powerful? A little bit. Not much. So, that's the penance Nintendo fans must pay for some sin or another. It's like, oh, you want the best games? Okay. No, you can have the best games, but you can't have the best graphics. You can't have the best performance or control or sound. No. You want the best games, you have to play them at least a generation behind. But why? But it's portable. Which a lot of people really like, and I'm very happy for you. I don't care. Because I'm a couch potato gamer. At some point, Nintendo is going to announce and show off a new console. Not the evergreen Switch Pro, but a successor to the Switch, a new home console. I would love to be excited by the hardware. I'll be excited by the games, maybe, hopefully, probably. The Switch has been kind of a bit of a bummer generation for me personally, because a lot of the best games on the Switch, and there are a lot of them, but a lot of them, they're ports of Wii U games that I already own and have played. I mean, and they're great. Like Captain Toad, the treasure tracker game. It's great. It's wonderful. It's a Wii U game. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Yeah, it's wonderful. I have no interest in Mario Kart, but I mean, even if I did, it's a Wii U game. Splatoon is essentially the same game. I actually have a list somewhere of just some really great... Zombie U was ported to a bunch of things. I think it's on the Switch also. One of the Wii U games that I thought was really interesting was the Fatal Frame game. It was exclusive to the Wii U. They had a really odd pricing structure where they sold it as a free-to-play game, but it was only the first 2 chapters of the game that were free-to-play, and then for $50 you could download the rest of the game as DLC. Odd way to do it, but okay. So I played the first 2 chapters. I'm like, this is interesting. Not $50 interesting, but maybe 30? 20 definitely, maybe 30. When it drops in price, I'll pick it up. As far as I know, Fatal Frame and the Black-Haired Maiden of Blackwater, something like that. Is black in the... Maybe it's just Maiden of the... Something. As far as I know, never on sale. Has never been on sale. Not once. Not even Halloween. So I never bought it. The Switch version, a port of it came out on Switch. For $40. Which is cheaper than how it sells on the Wii U. This week, Maiden of Blackwater, whatever it's called, is on sale for $30, but only on the Switch. I checked, it's still $50 on the Wii U eShop. Nintendo just really does not want me to buy that game. And it's like, well, buy it on the Switch. I mean, it's one of those games that is built for the Wii U. You use the Wii U as a camera. So, there's ghosts. Oh, there's a ghost. Take a picture of it. It's almost like an AR experience, only you're not seeing your room. You're actually seeing the game world through the screen. That's how the game's really meant to be played. Could it be played with the just on a television? Sure. So can Zombie U. But it loses some of the original intent, and this is the version I'd like to play, but they're just never dropping the price, so I guess I have to deal. 20 minutes in, I haven't really talked about the Nintendo Direct, I've just been bitching about Nintendo. So, let's see. Chaos says, part of me wishes I only had one shelving unit of games. I have... Well, no, because I have a bookcase in my bedroom that... I was going to say all of my disc games are out here, but no, they're not. They don't all fit out here. All of my cartridge games are in my room. Some of my disc games are in there too. I think all the PS3 games are now in there because they just don't all fit out here anymore. Let's see. Chicago says, Nintendo, disappointing fan since the Wii days. Well, I mean, not disappointing in every single respect. From a technology perspective, from a graphical display technology perspective, yes. Nintendo, count on Nintendo to do weird stuff. May not work. Like, broadly speaking, I hate this. I hate this. This is not how I want to play games. There are a couple games, like point-and-click adventure style games, that actually work pretty well with this kind of a setup. You'd think that on-rail shooters like House of the Dead, or I think Ghost Squad was another of them, would have been really popular on the Wii. Nope. There were a couple, but I was kind of expecting, they're just going to make a lot of on-rail shooters. Not really, no. There's a few. There's some really good ones. But, there's House of the Dead 2 and 3. There's, House of the Dead Overkill. There's Dead Space Extraction. Ghost Squad was one of them. There was what's the name of the game? Sin and Punishment. They did a sequel to that. So, but this is not comfortable, and doing this is not fun. Even so, there were some good games. Very ugly compared to their contemporaries, though they may be. Lots of great games on the way. And again, I do want to point out that as disappointing as the Wii U might have been, and as lacking in sales success as it was, there were a bunch of great games on the Wii U. And we know this because they ported almost all of them to the Switch by now. There's only a couple, like I think Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is still exclusive to the Wii U, if I'm not mistaken. Tokyo Mirage Sessions got ported. That's another great game. But, no one played it. I'm glad they got ported to the Switch because they're great games and they deserve to get played. But I already own all of them. So there's unfortunately, the Switch library, there's just very little that I want to play. Because most of the Switch library consists of games that I already played on the Wii U, and they're great and I love them. Or they're games that aren't my style of games, like multiplayer games. Mario Kart, Splatoon, ARMS, Super Mario Maker. It's not my kind of deal. Smash Brothers. Or they're games that I can play a better version of them on the PS4. Why would I play, for example, I don't know. Dragon Quest 11, 12, 13, 14, whatever the Dragon Quest was. Why would I play Dragon Quest on the Switch when I could play a better version of it on the PS4? Right? Yeah. I think Persona 5 might actually be on the Switch now. Why would I play the Switch version when it just looks and runs better, and oftentimes is more fully featured, although this isn't as much of a problem on the Switch as it was on the Wii U, when I could play a better version on the PS4. So, but we have a brand new Nintendo Direct to talk about. There were a couple dozen games, so let's talk about them after I read the chat. So, Wii U, says Chaos, was the most powerful console on the market at release. That's true. At release in 2012, because that was the year before the PS4 and the Xbox One came out. The Wii U was more powerful than the current advanced contemporaries, which were the PS3 and the 360, notwithstanding the fact that they were 6-7 years old. Would only last for a year was the rest of Chaos's comment, yeah. Chaos says, yeah, look at Black Ops 2 running on the PS3 and Wii U side by side. Big difference. Chicago says, I love the For Everything But Wii U videos. Thank you. Those were a real pain in the ass. That list was a pain in the ass to maintain. I'm glad that's over. I'm not doing that again. Chaos, still impressive when considering how small the Switch actually is. Oh, I mean, yes. Yes. It's understandable that the Switch is only as powerful as it is, considering its hardware footprint. Right? My argument, in order to get, the entire console into this thin thing that you can play in the bathroom, I guess, or go sit on a park bench and play, if that's your thing, you really couldn't, at least not affordably, get something as powerful as a PS4 into that size in 2017. Probably not even today. My argument is, or my opinion is, so make a bigger console, because me personally, which shouldn't dictate how Nintendo does things, I'm not claiming it does, but me personally, I'm like, well, make a bigger console. I'm not taking this thing anywhere anyway. Portability means nothing to me. So for me, and again, Nintendo's not focusing on Andrew, and that's fine. You've made it's weak for no benefit to me. Now, a lot of people are like, I'll take the hit in power just for the portability. Okay, fair enough. I have no interest in portability because I've got a lovely 60-inch television, and I would rather play my games on this, sitting on this lovely comfy couch. I have no interest in going outside and sitting on a park bench and playing games. I don't want to go outside. There are, like, other people out there. Why would I want to go outside? Cafe Fox says, God, it's been 10 years since the Wii U came out. Yeah, a little over 10 years. It was a fall of 2012. Chicago says, Nintendo's greedy. We'll make a new console, but we're not going to get cutting-edge hardware. We'll lose money on it. Which is funny because Nintendo used to make cutting-edge hardware and make money on it. I mean, the GameCube was not the most powerful console of its generation, but it competed. Any game that was on the Xbox and the PS2 could be ported to the GameCube. The controller might have made things a little bit awkward in some cases, but generally speaking, it competed on the same level as its contemporaries. The Wii did not. The Wii U did not. The Switch does not. And that's a bummer. Now, do great graphics make a game great? No. But, all other things being equal, great graphics do make a game better. Like, some Switch games that I absolutely love. Mario Odyssey, fantastic game. Love it. Would Mario Odyssey, if the only change you made was improve the visual fidelity, just made the graphics better, if that was the only change, everything else was the change, it was just visually more attractive, would Mario Odyssey be a better game? Yes. Yes, it would. By definition, yes. So, let's see. Super Switch Advance U. There you go. Chicago says, I hated how everyone would say Wii U didn't have any good games. Then Switch ported them over and people love them. Yeah, now the Wii U didn't have a lot of games. That's true. Most of its games were the games that were only on the Wii U. And, man, there's some really good ones. But, yeah. If you could afford only one console in, 2012 to 2015, in that range there, if you could only afford one console and your tastes were wider than just what Nintendo offered, yeah, I wouldn't recommend the Wii U either. I mean, if you can afford more than one, get either Sony or Microsoft's. It's essentially, whose exclusives do you like better? Sony or Microsoft's? Okay, get that console and Nintendo's. Nintendo's a great second console to have because there's a lot of great exclusives on it, even though it's weaker. Third-party games, they're going to be better on the other consoles because it's just more powerful hardware. Hopefully Nintendo will compete with hardware again someday. From a graphical display standpoint. I mean, from just weird stuff that we're trying, yeah. At least Nintendo's never boring in that regard. Alright, let's see. Chaos says part of the Switch's success is due to great third-party support. In order to get continued support from third parties, the successor to the Switch will need to be at least as powerful as an Xbox Series S. It would certainly help, right? There are a lot of games that the Switch is missing out on just because it's really just not powerful enough to run them. Now, there are some companies that are doing some amazing porting work. Like, they managed to get Doom and Doom Eternal running okay and looking okay. They're playable. But good gravy, unless Switch is the only console you own, don't get Doom or... unless portability... Again, unless portability is that important to you, don't play... if you're going to play Doom on your TV, don't get it on the Switch if you have the choice. Get it on the PS4 or any of the other consoles. It's just a better experience. As technically impressive as it is to see that game running on the Switch, and there are a bunch of really great ports, they're so much better on almost any other hardware. So, but yeah, what I said was that, it would definitely help, but it's not always necessary. Sometimes something just has a hook so unique and attractive that you just get a giant install base and everyone wants to make games for it. Like the Wii. The Wii was nowhere near as powerful as its contemporaries, but it had a huge install base because people are just like, Wii bowling, look, or Wii tennis, I can swing a tennis racket. Neat. Right? It was a novelty. So it had a huge install base and a lot of people made games for it, and you even got some ports, Alright, let's see. Chicago, Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater. Okay, that is a Wii U game I wanted, just not for $50. Yeah, same thing here. I don't want it for another console. Yeah, that's exactly... It was built for the Wii U, for that handheld screen thing. That's where I want to play it, because that's where it's intended to be played. And it just annoys... I think... Did Nintendo just forget? Because it's on sale on the Switch right now. Why is it never on sale for the Wii U? Oh well, Nintendo's out. You're not getting $50 out of me for Made in Blackwater, Nintendo. You'll get 30 on the Wii U. You either get 30 or you get 0. Make your choice. Breath of the Wild is still going to be $60 when Tears of the Kingdom comes out. Yeah. So I guess we'll skip to the end of the Nintendo Direct. Yeah, they showed a trailer for Breath of the Wild 2. You know, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It's $70 apparently. Well, not apparently. I checked. It's $70. Okay. I don't pay $60 for video games, so you want to charge $70? I wasn't going to buy it anyway. So charge $80. Charge $100. I don't care. I'm not paying it. I'm not buying it unless it's $50 or less. With a couple exceptions. I'll spend $60 on a video game if I'm buying someone a present, or if I'm getting something specifically to play for like the Extra Life charity event, or something along those lines. But for me personally, one of the games I'm absolutely just chomping at the bit to play is Like a Dragon Ishin. That's something I've been anticipating for 8-9 years. We're finally getting a localized edition of that in a week and a half, and I'm gonna wait until it drops to $50 because I ain't paying $60 for a video game. It's just not to say video games aren't worth $60 or that Legend of Zelda isn't worth $70. Perhaps it is. I personally won't pay it. I draw the line, me personally, at $50, unless there's a weird plastic controller that comes with it, like the Steel Battalion controller. That thing cost $200 because it came with this big honking piece of plastic control thing. Guitar Hero was like $80 or $90 because it came with a big plastic guitar. Donkey Konga was, I think, like $80 because it, came with a plastic bongos. Okay. Ring Fit Adventure was $90, and that thing came with a goddamn Pilates ring. That was overpriced. That still should not have been $90. Because it's a Pilates ring. It's literally just a Pilates ring with a little mount on it. Just a Pilates ring. Anyway, so yeah, I won't pay it. Oh, the collector's edition of Zelda Tears of the Sun, Tears of the Kingdom, is $130. You might be thinking, holy shit, what's in it? Hey, you know that nifty amiibo that they showed off at the end? You might think, wow, $130, so we've got, let's see, the game, the cardboard box that everything comes in, a steel book for the, I guess you could put the game in, 4 pins, an art book, and a poster. Oh, okay, all that stuff in an amiibo, $130, still a bit steep. But no, the amiibo's sold separately. The amiibo is not in the collector's edition. $130. So $70 for the game. So $60 for a piece of cardboard that holds everything. A steel book, which is the metal case that the game can sit in. A poster, an art book, and 4 little pins. If I were to extend one of my digits at you, Nintendo, which one do you think it would be? $130. Come on, Nintendo. Greedy numbnuts? Good gravy. But again, I mean, it's like, oh, we're charging $70. I don't get mad at $70 games because I won't pay $60. So go ahead, jack up the price. Keep jacking it up. I'm not paying it. I mean, that's like saying it's $1 billion. Okay, good luck selling it. I don't care. I ain't buying it until it's 50. Let's see where we're talking about. Breath of the Wild has at least been on sale several times. Currently $40. Oh, how about that? You mean like the physical version, not just eShop sales? Let's see. There was a Dead Space rail shooter on the Wii. Yep, Dead Space Extraction. That was ported to the PS3, I think, with and packed in with Dead Space 2, if I'm remembering right. Chicago says, the top of my head, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, Xenoblade Chronicles X. Oh, I'm guessing these are the ones that didn't get ported, yeah. Paper Mario Color Splash. Although the Wii U did get... something. There was a. Oh, I'm sorry. The Switch got its own Paper Mario. The one it got. I don't remember what it's called. Nintendo Land. Yeah, yeah. I made a list of like 15 or so games that should get ported to the Switch, and I'm sure those were on it. Some of us don't have because we're broke. Yeah. That's why I have to settle for some of the lower quality games on the Switch. Yeah. Improved visuals improves games. Look at Metroid Prime Remastered. Yeah, there you go. I played Metroid Prime 20 years ago, so I don't care, but it's a great game. If you haven't played it, get the remaster. Baten Kaitos 1 and 2 remaster. Hey, I still need to beat Baten Kaitos. I still have a Baten... Hang on. Show and tell. Baten Kaitos Origins. GameCube. It's still sealed. I haven't beaten Baten Kaitos yet, so I haven't opened it. It's still sealed. I've had this for 15 years. Or however long it's been. Am I going to get the remastered versions of Baten Kaitos 1 and 2? No, probably not. I do like the idea of the quality of life improvements where you can skip cutscenes. Because the point in Baten Kaitos that I'm stuck at is a boss fight that starts with like a 10-minute cutscene, and then the middle of the fight has a 5-minute cutscene. I don't want to sit through the cutscene again. It's one of the reasons why I stopped playing it, because I just didn't want to sit through that cutscene again. You know, it's bad enough that I lost the half an hour I was playing that boss fight. Now I have to sit through a 10-minute cutscene before I can actually play it again. Try again, right? Anyway, the Baten Kaitos games, blurry as shit on the GameCube. So yeah, go get the remaster on the Switch. I'm maybe wait for reviews, make sure they're not broken or something. But yeah, I definitely do recommend the original Baten Kaitos. Can't speak for Origins, of course. Haven't played it. But do keep in mind, it has some of the most hilariously, deliciously terrible vocal performances in like any game ever. It's so bad, it must be deliberate. You know, I mean, it's like early Resident Evil bad. It is really something to behold. Anyway. Let's see. Nintendo, we don't speak about Wii U. Yeah, they don't. They never. The popular Wii. They don't market it like coming from the Wii U. They're just brand new game. Where did this come from? Nintendo's getting really greedy. Says Chicago, $70 for a game on a 6-year-old console. Eat a Richard. Yeah. Zelda, $70. Tears of the fans. Yeah. Cafe Fox talking to Chicago. I can tell the game seems like it's just a big DLC upgrade to Breath of the Wild. You know, that's another thing. How much of the Hyrule map is the same, right? I mean, there seems to be a bunch of new stuff floating up in the sky, but how different is Hyrule? One of, if not the greatest open worlds in any game, the Hyrule from Breath of the Wild, it is phenomenal. Probably one of my favorite game worlds ever. It is so amazingly good. But I've already explored it. So how different is it in Tears of the Fallen? Doesn't sound right. Tears of the Kingdom. That's one of my big questions. Also, does Link run a little, just a skosh faster? Because that would help. Because that was one of my big problems about Breath. I have a video series called Bad Breath of the Wild, in which I document the myriad nitpicks I had with the game that in isolation aren't really that big of a deal, but it's a 7-part series. There's a lot of nitpicks, and they add up to kind of a frustrating experience, to the point where I was like, it was really difficult. Once I started playing Breath of the Wild, once I turned it on and sat down and played it, I was fine, but actually turning the game on was a big hassle for me. It was hard to work up the initiative to do that. I'm like, but Link is so slow, and it's always raining. Chaos says, at least it comes with the game. The collector's edition of Horizon Forbidden West didn't come with a physical copy of the game. I remember there being a big game where the collector's edition didn't have a game. I don't recall which game it was. I'll take your word for it that it was Forbidden West, but yeah, I remember that. Chicago says, someone theorized it might be $70 because it probably has to be on a 32 gig cartridge. Those cost more to make, but I'm sure digital will still be $70. Possibly, but you know. Origami King, that's right, Chicago. Thank you. That was the one that was on Switch. Quality of life improvements seem like they were done with Andrew in mind. Oh, for Bot and Kaitos, yeah. Cafe Fox, wow, that game you got there is worth close to $300. Really? Well, shit, maybe I'll sell it and just buy the Switch version. Chicago goes on to say, what if you sell Bot and Kaitos Origins and just get the remasters? I'm sure it'll pay for both. Yeah, you know? Nintendo, does Link get the bunny ears and run faster in tears of the fans? Buy the game and find out, yeah. Cafe Fox, when first started listening to your podcast was when you had this really big rant about everything you didn't like about Breath of the Wild. Yeah. Breath of the Wild is a good game. Very good game. A laudable game, a landmark in its field. I like the game. I 100, well, not 100%. I didn't find every last stinking Korok. But I did beat the game, did all 4 Divine Beasts, completed all of the side quests, did not do any of the DLC because I didn't care. There was some story content to my understanding, but most of the DLC was like, here's a t-shirt you can get out of a treasure chest. Here's an extra hard mode. I don't care. Here's the where you were in the auto mapping line where you've walked. That should be in the base game. Here's the Tower of Terror. I don't care. The whatever the story DLC I would have enjoyed, and the motorcycle looks really fun. But I was like, yeah, I'm done with this game. I don't really. Yeah. There's just. I don't really care for the combat in the game, and Link his movement speed is just a tad on the slow side compared to the size of Hyrule. And I love Hyrule. I love its variety of environments and biomes. I love the fact that wherever you are, you can see at least one landmark to orient yourself. I love how, huge as it is, there's always something interesting to discover, look at, or explore, no matter where on the map you are. It's phenomenal. So I wouldn't want them to make it smaller. Just make Link run a little faster. God damn it, he's too slow. The dirt bike, yeah. I kind of want to play around with the motorcycle. That does look fun. All right, and with the last 15 minutes, let's power through. So the first thing the Nintendo Direct talked about was Pikmin 4. I'm looking forward to Pikmin 4. I love Pikmin. I've played all 3 of them. I didn't play the one that was on the DS, whatever the hell it was called. But I've enjoyed the 3 mainline Pikmin games. This one looks cool. I like what they're doing. I like the fact that it seems to take place in, like, literally someone's backyard. Because all the Pikmin games so far have taken place just kind of like out in the woods somewhere. There are real world objects like batteries and baseballs and stuff like that, but bottle caps and things. So you can tell it's like the human world, which is interesting. But this one they seem to have like crashed in someone's backyard, which so there's this just like house looming. I think that's a nice touch. Also, I think they've really nailed the depth of field in this one, where they've pushed back where the background starts to blur. And in some of the earlier games, they took the camera and they pointed it almost straight down, so you couldn't see too far ahead. And in other games where you could see further ahead, they'd start blurring things a little bit closer than you'd want. I think they've done that depth of field blur a lot better in Pikmin 4. The dog thing is cute. I don't know why it doesn't have a nose. That's a little unsettling, but it's still kind of cute. So, yeah, Pikmin 4 comes out in July. I'm really looking forward to it, unless they do something really terrible with the controls. I hope they don't. Don't do anything weird with the controls, Nintendo. Don't do anything stupid with the controls, and we should be fine. Was Breath of the Wild the first cross-dressing Link game, or did Triforce Heroes also have that? I assume you mean the Gerudo garb that he wears. Yeah, off the top of my head, it's the first one I remember, but... Hey Pikmin, that's Chicago. Thank you. That's what it was. Yeah. Yeah. I think I have it like on a wish list. I think it's like under $10. I should probably pick it up at some point just to check it out. So next, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 has a its expansion is continuing with a new wave, third wave, which has a new hero and challenge battles. Okay. That's in February. That's actually this week. Volume 4 is later in the year, and maybe it's story DLC. It seemed to be what they were teasing. We're getting a new Samba de Amigo game called Party Central. Comes out this summer. It's a rhythm game that originally came out in the Dreamcast, and it had plastic maracas. So you shake them up, you shake them to the side, you shake them down, and that's it. So it's a rhythm game. There's a note highway, and you have to shake them at the right level at the right time. I imagine they're probably going to do that with the little motion Joy-Cons, which... I don't know. It's not as fun. Maybe Nintendo or someone will release plastic controllers, plastic maracas that clip onto the Joy-Con controls. Stupid, kitschy, but it's fun. Fashion Dreamer. So you run around the world and you tell people what to wear, and if you liked what they were wearing in the first place, you can just add their fashion to your catalog. That's kind of what Is that the entire game? I'm not terribly sure. I don't know. Probably not for me, but... Dead Cells has a DLC, Return to Castlevania, even though I don't know if Dead Cells went to Castlevania in the first place, so I don't know how it returns. But anyway, it's paid DLC, comes out in March. You get to battle Dracula. Neat. Tron Identity, it's coming out in April. Seems to be a visual novel puzzle adventure thing, which is an odd choice for Tron. Like, one of the last genres I'd think of adapting the Tron license into is a visual novel. But you do you. Here's a pleasant surprise. An HD remake of Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, which is a phenomenal game, and I recommend everyone play it. It comes out this summer. I, of course, can't vouch for the quality of the HD remake, but yeah, the game on the DS, wonderful story, wonderful gameplay, music is great. It's great. I love it. So I'm glad a larger audience is going to be able to check that out. So here's a new game, comes out this year at some point, Deca Police. From Level 5. I'd forgotten about Level 5. Level 5 has never gone anywhere. I mean, they've been making a lot of the I forget what the name of it, but the soccer game and Yokai Watch. But older gamers might remember them. They did some of the Rogue Squadron games. They did the Professor Layton games. Um, it's quite the storied developer. They've done a lot of great stuff. Chicago says it was on the DS, so another port for the Switch. Yeah, it was a DS game. It's really very good. Cafe is interested in Blanc and Sea of Stars. Yep, we'll get to those. So yeah, Decapolice looks like a. The setup is you are police, but it's also you have the ability to explore a virtual world. So there's a lot of puzzly crime solvey stuff, but also maybe turn-based battle RPG mechanics, and I'm all about that. So, and I generally like Level 5's games, so I'm quite interested to see how Decapolice turns out. Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon, comes out in March. I think this might be a control Bayonetta with one stick and Cheshire the Cat with the other stick. I think that's what's going on. Definitely very different from the mainline Bayonetta games, but I like Bayonetta and could be interesting. I'd like to know a little bit more about how this plays before I dive in, but and it's got kind of a watercolor aesthetic going for it, which I like the idea of, but it's a little washed out and blurry. I'd like maybe a little bit more definition to it. It just looks a little, smear the screen with Vaseline. I think it could look a little bit better, but, Switch. Disney Illusion Island. It's a platformer, comes out in July, and it stars Mickey and Donald and Goofy and Daisy, I think. I hate that particular design for those characters. There's the current run of the Disney cartoons for the Mickey Disney cartoons. They have a unique style going on right now, and I really don't like it. It looks good. It's accurate to that style. I'm sure it's going to be a fine platformer, but man, I just don't like that design for Mickey and Friends. Oh well. Fire Emblem Engage Expansion Pass Wave 2. 3 more characters added. That was this last week. Wave 3, at least 2 more characters, and Wave 4 at some point, which is story DLC. So, yay. I never really liked Fire Emblem. I did like Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE though, but yeah, Fire Emblem's just not for me. Harmony: The Fall of Reverie. It seems to be a multi-path visual novel. Comes out in June. Octopath Traveler 2 comes out later this month. It looks very Octopath Traveler 2. We Love Katamari Reroll plus Royal Reverie. So, in the vein of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, same kind of thing. We Love Katamari Reroll is a game that already came out. It's getting ported to the Switch with some extra content. Okay. I don't like Katamari Damacy. I only played, I think, the first one, and it sucks. That one just did not speak to me. It also has the worst control. Not that the controls work poorly; they're just poorly thought out. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with that control scheme. It's really, really bad. It honestly took me a while. I thought the game was broken. It took me a while to figure out how to actually move the character, because it's this weird dual stick thing where you kind of have to push forward on both sticks at the same time to go forward, and then it gets wackier from there. It's weird. I love the style of Katamari Damacy. I like the idea. I just didn't think it was fun to play. Oh well. Here someone was talking about Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars. It's from the developers that did a couple years ago the Messenger. So this is, which was kind of their take on a 16-bit. Well, I think it flipped between 8 and 16-bit platformer game. This is their take on a 16-bit RPG. Certainly looks the part. Looks very Chrono Trigger or Secret of Mana kind of look and battle system. So it's going to come down to are the battle mechanics fun, and does the story and characters succeed? So it certainly looks very good, visually. So we'll hopefully that turns out well. That doesn't come out to the end of August 29th though, so going to be quite a while until. Although there is a demo for for that one on the Switch. I should probably check that out. Let's see. Oh shit, Chaos, you're right. Rogue Squadron was Factor 5, not Level 5 here. I did get, what else was it? Level 5, Inazu, the soccer one, Yokai Watch, Professor Layton. Those are all Level 5. I think I got the rest of them right. You're right. Factor 5 was Rogue Squadron here. Wrong 5. Thank you for the correction. Let's see. Chicago says, my wife and I love couch co-op, so we're excited. Blanc looks like a cute couch co-op game, which is what he's referring to. Very few of those of interest nowadays. Yeah. Chicago agrees, Katamari games not for me. It's like you just rolling trash around. I also didn't find the games, like, maybe because I didn't play more in the first couple of levels, I just found it really easy. You pick up the small stuff, and then you pick up the slightly bigger stuff. It reminded me, what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Donut County. A game that that everyone really seemed to like, and I played it and I went, I don't get it. To me, it was just bonehead simple. You move a hole, like, remember in Roger Rabbit, the portable hole? You've essentially got a portable hole that you move around the ground to steal stuff. So you move the hole under something so that it falls in. Every time something falls in the hole gets bigger, so you can steal more and more stuff, right? So you steal the small stuff, and then you steal the slightly larger stuff, and then go up from there. I don't get it. There are a couple moments in the game where you have to, like, swallow a campfire so that smoke comes out of your hole, and then you move the smoke under a balloon to get it to float over somewhere else. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's interesting. But there's only a couple of moments in the game that actually do something like that. Most of it is just move the hole under stuff. That's it. Katamari Damacy, at least the first couple of levels that I played, kind of the same way. Just roll the smaller stuff and just get into. I don't get what the challenge is. Didn't do it for me. Omega Strikers. It's air hockey. So like an air hockey table, but you are like football players, soccer players who run around on top of the air hockey table and kick the puck around. Okay. Here's the weird thing, though. It's a free-to-play game. Comes out on April 27th. And you can pre-order it. I don't get it. How do you pre-order a free-to-play game? What are you pre-ordering? Why? Are you reserving a spot in line? Free-to-play air hockey comes out April 7th. Pre-order today. What? I mean, granted, I didn't look up what that means. That just strikes me as kind of odd that a free-to-play game has a pre-order. Does the pre-order cost money? I don't know. I didn't look this up. I should have. I just thought the idea of pre-ordering a free-to-play game was really funny. Etrian Odyssey Origins Collection. I played the demo, I think, of Etrian Odyssey 4, and I really quite liked it. It's that old series of, well, not that old, but an older series of handheld RPGs where the main gimmick is, on the bottom screen, you have to draw the map of the dungeon. So back in like the 80s, when we were playing RPGs, sometimes some people would have a piece of graph paper out, and we'd chart the and we'd draw the dungeon map if there wasn't an in-game map and there wasn't one packed in the box, right? Because there's no internet at the time. Etrian Odyssey kind of takes that old idea of what older gamers like me used to do with graph paper and does it on the bottom screen. So as you explore a dungeon, you have to physically map it out, which is a really neat idea, and I thought it worked well, at least in the context of a demo. So that's neat. Etrian Odyssey 3. It's an I lost my place. So it's an HD remaster, but looking at the footage, it looks like it's mostly just the menu elements and character art. The 3D assets look the same to me. So it's a collection of the first 3 games. Comes out in June. Advanced Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, which is a HD which is actually an HD remaster of the entire game, not just the character art. Collection of the first 2 Advanced Wars games instead of, a new one, but some people haven't played them yet, so it's fine. Comes out in April. Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe, much like Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. It's Kirby Return to Dreamland, but it also has the Magolor episode. Now, Magolor was the bad guy in that game, so I guess after you kick his ass, you get to play as him and get his power back so he can harass Kirby again, I guess. I don't know. It's nice that it has some new game content, so that's neat. Let's see, what are we taking? Have I played it? Oh, you're not talking to me. Yeah. I have not... You weren't asking me, but I have not played It Takes Two. My understanding is the premise of the game is a married couple are getting a divorce, and their child is not dealing with the divorce well, so she wishes upon a star or something, and they are magically turned into 2 dolls, and they have to do the, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids it through the yard to get back in the house and wish on the magic book or whatever to return to human form. And along the way, maybe they can learn to love each other again. I've not played the game, but I hope that they get divorced and the kid just has to deal with it. I hope that's where it goes. I hope it's not the trite and pat, oh, we went through an experience together and we learned that we actually love each other after all. Look, sometimes relationships don't work out. And that's sad. But it's also okay. I'd like to see that reflected in stories sometimes. I'm also a cynical, miserable douchebag, so that's part of it too, I'm sure. Let's see. I'll wait for it to get Game Pass to build up hype for... they have to build up hype for a pre-order free game. Sounds like it might suck. Yeah, okay. I picked up the 2 Etrian Odyssey Untold games on 3DS during Atlas's sale. Okay, I'm hoping they come out with another Atlas sale on the eShop so I can pick up the other one. Etrian Odyssey HD Remake doesn't feel like it's worth the price. Well, I mean, I don't know how much it is, but this collection is 3 games, so... and the new art, the new character and monster art looks nice. It doesn't look like they did anything with the 3D backgrounds, but... let's see. Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe is $60 for HD graphics and extra levels. Yeah, Return to Dreamland was a Wii game, so it's not like it was on the Wii U and no one played it. Sure, plenty of people played Return to Dreamland. Hell, I actually just finally finished that game like last year. Like last fall, because it was one of those ones that I'd started way back when and never finished, and it was one of my finally finished last year games. I got the Wii version for $20 in the Wii U eShop. Neat. Cafe Fox says, well, we beat it, and I don't want to spoil the end. Ellipsis. Yeah. Don't. If I cared that much, I'd actually look it up. Alright, so moving on. Hey, Game Boy games and Game Boy Advance games are being added to the Nintendo eShop. You have to be a... Actually, let me clarify that. Uh, Game Boy games are added to Nintendo Switch Online, the subscription service, right? It's not like you go to the eShop and purchase the games you want. No, you have to pay a monthly or yearly subscription for Nintendo Switch Online, and you get access to games like Tetris, Super Mario Land 2, Link's Awakening DX, Gargoyle's Quest. Surprise. Game & Watch Gallery 3. Okay, also a surprise. Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare. Kind of random, but okay. Metroid 2, Return to Samus, Wario Land 3, Kirby's Dream Land. Neat. There are also Game Boy Pocket, and Game Boy Color filters. Cool. Now, if you subscribe to Nintendo Switch Online plus the expansion pack, which is, if you're giving Nintendo even more money, you also get Game Boy Advance games like Super Mario Advance 4, which does include the e-reader levels. Nice touch. Good on you, Nintendo. WarioWare Inc., Kuro Kuro Kurin, which is that you have a bar or a staff that's constantly rotating, and you have to move it through a maze without touching the sides. It's a neat little puzzle game. Mario Kart Super Circuit, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, Zelda Minish Cap, local and online supported. And more games will, I'm sure, trickle out at one or two every month. We'll see. Metroid Prime Remastered, it certainly has been. Looks nice. I do hope Retro Studios is around and doing stuff. Really curious to know what Retro's doing, Nintendo, because it's been years since we've heard hide nor hair of them. I mean, I'm excited for Metroid Prime 4, as I'm sure anyone is, but I've also just really I would just love to see Retro just, okay, Retro, you've proven yourself with the Prime games and with the Donkey Kong Country Returns games. Vanilla Frosted Flakes. What the hell's the second one? Tropical Freeze. Donkey Kong Country Frosted Flakes. The second one of the absolute best side-scrolling platformers. It just incredible game. So it's like, Retro Studios, you've proved yourself with the Donkey Kong and the Metroid games. You have carte blanche to do whatever the hell you want. I want to see Retro Studios just make a game that it is passionate about making. I hope I live to see that someday. Let's see. Oh, they added dual stick control option to Metroid Prime Remaster, so neat. It's out now. The physical version's in stores later this month. Chicago says, I wonder if Metroid Prime Remastered games will drop one per quarter, then Metroid Prime 4 drops in the last quarter. That's interesting. So, Prime Remaster quarter 1, Prime 2 Remaster quarter 2, Prime 3 Corruption is what Echoes was the second one, Corruption was the third one. And, third quarter. And then this fall, finally, Metroid 4. Yay! I mean, they have to have something. I mean, Zelda's coming out in May. They've got to have something this fall, right? Prime 4 would seem to be a prime candidate. We're almost through the list. Code Rain, which is a Spike Chunsoft game, so the Danganronpa developers. I've been looking forward to this one for a while because I'm really interested to see how it turns out because I've been a fan of most of their games. It's one of those goofy kid detective with a cartoon mascot that's also an anime girl demon. Have to solve crimes using their supernatural powers of his friends, which he can also borrow their supernatural powers, and then it looks neat. I like that kind of a thing. Visual novel with gameplay in it, which is where AI Somnium Files, which I'm actually playing right now, is kind of struggling, because it's got a great aesthetic. I like it anyway. I like the characters. I really like the story and how weird how weird it gets and how dark it gets sometimes, and all its multiple pathing, and Is it like, is there an alternate universe thing going on here? It's really interesting. It's just, there's almost no game there. It's almost entirely visual novel, and while it's actually paced pretty well, little wordy, they could tighten up the dialogue a little, but there's very little downtime. The story ball keeps rolling downhill, if you get me. There's just, gameplay-wise, very little. There's a couple times when there's like a quick time event. Push A! You win! Okay. That's it. That's it. There've been like 2 or 3 sequences so far where you're interrogating someone and you're like, aha, but I know you could be the murderer because... And then you have a list of things that you've learned, and you have to choose the right things from the list. Sometimes you have to choose like 3 things from the list, all of which combine to prove the thing. And it's like, that's a neat idea. Do more with that. The big thing of the game, though, is when you get to play around in someone's dream, their somnium. And that's the use dream logic to navigate their dream to achieve a certain goal. Which is a cool idea, except being that it's dream logic, you're essentially just guessing. It's like, well... And all of your actions are just 3 or 4 options in a menu. So you walk up to an interactable, and you have 3 or 4 choices. And it's all dream logic, so there's no way to figure it out except pick one and see if it works. And the interactions are often very funny and enjoyable, but it's not much of a game. Each interaction takes time, and you have to complete the entire event within a time limit, and if you don't, you lose. So it is a game, it's just not a very good one. So, but at least the story and the characters and stuff are interesting enough to keep me playing, so there's that. Where was I? Okay, Baten Kaitos 1 and 2 Remaster. It comes out this summer. Talked about that. Fantasy Life. The Fantasy Life series. That's another level... Factor 5. Level 5 game, yeah. So that's kind of like... it's like Animal Crossing, but a little bit more RPG-ish, where you adopt certain roles like woodsman, or chef, or seamstress, or something like that, so that you can get different abilities and create a fantasy life, right? Not really for me, but it's fairly popular series, at least in Japan, so they've got a new one coming out. It's called The Girl Who Steals Time, and it comes out this year sometime, so neat. Another level 5 game, Professor Layton and the New World of Steam. No date, no information, but there's been like 7 or 8 Professor Layton games, so I'll cut him some slack on that one. They didn't show you anything except Professor Layton. There he is. This is the name of the game. So you could be forgiven for going, what's the game, though? Well, it's probably Professor Layton. You know, it's a visual novel with puzzles, with logic puzzles. It's probably what it is. So... I'm willing to excuse things like that when it's part of an existing IP that we know how it plays. Cafe Fox loves Tropical Freeze. And, well, you should, because you apparently have good taste. Master Detective Archives Rain Code. Rain Code? Wait, is it Rain Code or is it Code Rain? Now I have to look. I'll just go into my Amazon wish list and... Holy shit, it's Rain Code. You're right. I have had it wrong since this game was first announced, like, a year ago? Because I think more than that. I think like a year and a half ago I heard that the creators of Danganronpa and something else were getting together to do... I'm like, ooh, I need to see what that is. And then it turned out to be Rain Code. And I think it was we first saw some footage of it like 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah, I've been calling it Code Rain this entire time, so... Oopsie. Thank you for the correction. So, not that it matters, but I guess I could just change it in my notes here. Rain Code. Well, that doesn't... I guess, actually, you know, so it sounds kind of like Raincoat. I wonder if that was the idea behind it. That sounds like like a very Japanese title. It sounds kind of like Raincoat, so we'll call it Rain Code. Where were we? So, level 5. You've 3 games in this, 2 of which I'm actually interested in. Well done. Let's see. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Wave 4. New courses and Birdo's character. Comes out in spring. Fun. Let's see. Chicago says, I like the OG Fantasy Life. I'm interested in the sequel. Oh, okay. Chicago says, I hope all these games have demos. That way I know if it's for me. You know, a couple of them do. Let's see. I think I talked about Sea of Stars has a demo. You know, probably look real quick. Bonk. Alright, what's next? So we've got Minecraft Legends. I don't care. Maybe you do. Comes out April 18th. Blanc, which, certainly cute. I'd like to see a little bit more gameplay, though. It's certainly... I like its black and white aesthetic. It stars fuzzy animals, so it's certainly adorable. Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. That's, I think, all the Battle Network games, because there were 6, right? So it should be... Although they're like, all 10 games! You know, but they're counting, you know, Battle Network 3 Blue and Battle Network 3 Red, or whatever they were. Battle Network 5 Kernel and Battle Network 5 Chod, or whatever, you know, whatever it was. Yeah, it does the Pokemon thing. But it's the 6 games of the Battle Network series, which is an interesting take on Mega Man. It's a... how do you even describe it? So, every enemy has, like, a card that you can win, that you can slot into your attack. So every round, you're dealt a hand of attack cards, and you pick a few cards to use in that round. It's a really interesting system. It is not... Don't go in expecting classic Mega Man. It is not that at all. But it's a really interesting active battle RPG system. So I really don't like the design, and I really don't like the stories, and I don't like the characters in these games. But it is actually a really interesting mechanic. Worth checking out just to... I mean, at the very least, you know, check out a Let's Play just to see what they did with the series, because it is rather interesting. Oh, and he has a phrase, and it's like, oh, okay, he has to jack into and out of the net, and he has some phrase, Mega Man, jack in, and I'm always like, oh man, someone's writing code to jack off the internet, you know. Let's see. I'm pretty sure you can search by games with demos. Sea of Stars. Kirby Return to Dreamland. Octopath Traveler 2. That seems to be all the stuff from the Nintendo Direct. So, yeah, a couple of them at least. I should actually probably check some of those out. All right, let's power through. Battle Network. Have a Nice Death. Which one is that? Let's see. It is... Oh, you play a little Grim Reaper side-scrolling platformer thing. Okay, yeah. WBSC Baseball Power Pros. So if you remember, this is the long-running series, Power Pros Baseball. usually Japan exclusive, but a couple of them have come out here. You've probably, if you saw the character art, you'd probably recognize it. In fact, I could probably pull that up real quick. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, so here, yeah. So that's what it looks like. Yeah. Okay, let's not get copyright claimed again. Anyway. Power Pros Baseball. Disney Dreamlight Valley has a new Lion King realm being added in April. Cool. Tales of Symphonia Remastered comes out this week. And finally, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom comes out May 12th. So, and it's expensive. And I don't know if I want it yet. Which, I feel dirty saying that about Zelda, but I had some issues with Breath of the Wild, and I'm really curious to see if any of the issues that I had with the game are addressed in the sequel. And I'm really curious to see, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, how much of Hyrule is the same map, you know? Because I already explored that version of Hyrule. I mean, if it's markedly different, great. But I'm not necessarily a deal breaker, but you know, for $70, I don't want to be roaming around the same place, right? Of course, I'm also not paying $70 for it, so. Chicago says, yeah, the Jack in comment always cracked me up. Yeah, I am immature. He's jacking in the internet. So if you jacked onto the internet, then you'd be jacking, you know. So, I probably confused it with Code Vein. Yet, possibly, yeah. Raincoat. Cafe Fox says, big Mega Man fan, but I've never had interest in any of those games. And understandably so, because they are so different. And it's a different, you know, Mega Man EXE? What is his... Yeah, I guess it's Mega Man EXE. He is a different character than, you know, Mega Man or Rockman or X, you know, the side-scrolly platform ones. Completely different. So, it's a very different game. So, as a fan of... I wouldn't recommend checking it out, like, as a fan of Mega Man, but as a fan of broadly video games, it's mechanically... I found the combat mechanically interesting, even though I didn't really like the game. So, worth it. Again, yeah, pull up a Let's Play. Just see what the battle mechanics do. The GameCube, I think, had a Mega Man Battle Network side-scroller. I forget what it was called, but let me see if I can find it. Mega Man Battle Network GameCube Network Transmission. That's what it was called. Yeah. And that one was a action that one adapted that kind of RPG thing into an action platformer, which was kind of interesting. It's kind of a midpoint between the Battle Network games and the actual Mega Man games. It's actually it's really weird, but you know, it's an interesting middle ground. And yeah, that is it. Lan, that's right. Mega Man.exe, and the kid's name is Lan. Mega Man EXE actually has a name because it's weird. I think Mega Man EXE is literally actually Lan's brother because his brother died, but his soul or consciousness or something was transferred into the net. So his brother lives on as Mega Man EXE, I think. You know what I hate most about those games? Hate's a strong word, but you know what doesn't work about those games the most to me? It's Lan's friends. He has oh god, his friends suck. It's like it's you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Detective Conan, which another series that I don't like, and it's mostly aesthetics and character. Like, I can't stand the aesthetic design of a lot of the characters in that show, and I really can't stand Detective Conan's friends at all. I really hate the character designs. It's weird when a character design is so off-putting that it's like, I can't watch this show or play this game because I just can't stand looking at these characters. So, all right, that's it for tonight. All in all, quite a nice direct. Particularly if you are a younger generation of gamer, because for me, half this stuff is not new to me, you know? Mega Man Battle Networks, I'm familiar with them. Etrian Odyssey, those are old. What else? Remake of Katamari Damacy, or We Love Katamari Reroll, the Etrian Odyssey games, remakes of Advance Wars, Kirby's Dreamland, or Kirby Return to Dreamland coming back, bunch of Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games, Baten Kaitos 1 and 2, these are pushing 20 years old now. So for an older gamer like myself, I'm like, yeah, half this stuff is stuff I've seen before, I'm familiar with, I've played a lot of this stuff. But for the younger generation of gamers, that heck of a show. Ghost Trick, Phantom Detective, that definitely recommend that one. Yeah, so some good stuff. And what am I most interested in? Pikmin 4, Deca Police. I'm really curious to see more about that one. Really curious about Bayonetta Origins. Sea of Stars I'd like to check out. I am so overloaded with RPGs right now, though. So many good RPGs, and they take so goddamn long to play. RPGs were great when I was a little kid, and we could only afford like one game a year. It's like, all right. It was either like, when I was young, we didn't have a lot of money. So most of the games I got when I was young were hand-me-downs. Like the stuff my cousin or my neighbor didn't want anymore. Other than that, I would get like maybe a new video game for my birthday. So like one game in a year. So if it was something like Dragon Quest 3 or Dragon Quest 4 or something like that, that lasted a long time, well, that was good. Because that was the only game you're getting this year. Unless Cousin Patrick decides to get rid of his Super NES and give you all his stuff. So, anyway. Rain Code is also another one. I'm curious to... Oh, Tales of Symphonia Remastered, another 15-some-year-old game. I'm curious to see how Zelda Tears of the Kingdom turns out. I've got high hopes. I like liking things. I like liking Zelda. I hope Tears of the Kingdom is great. I hope it's better than Breath of the Wild. And if it is, then I look forward to purchasing it when I can get it for $50 or less. Maybe I'll buy it used, and Nintendo won't get any money. Cafe Fox says, Sea of Stars, Star Ocean. Sea of Stars Ocean. Yeah, Sea of Star Ocean. Hey, Jared. Yeah, we're wrapping up. I was talking about Nintendo, so, I can be long-winded about anything, particularly Nintendo. Chicago, thanks for the podcast. Nice to hear someone else's point of view who has similar taste in games. You're welcome. Chicago says, same here. I got a new game a year when I was little, plus my mom would only let us play 30 minutes a day on the weekend. Yeah, also, man, I remember school. School was weird, especially from an adult perspective. See, as an adult, I go to work, which is right there. I go to work right there in the corner. And I work for 8 hours with an hour lunch in the middle, and then I'm done. unless I need to work overtime or something. But generally speaking, I work for 8 hours and I'm done. When I was a kid, I went to school for 8 hours, and then I came home and I kept working on work from schoolwork that I had to do at home. They called it homework. It's like it just never ended. School sucked. I didn't like school. I didn't like any of the stupid people in it either. I was really fun to be around when I was a kid. Looking forward to the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 DLC comes out in a year. Well, they've got some stuff that's coming out soon. Let's see. Yeah, the expansion Wave 3 stuff is this month, but it's just challenge there's a new hero and some challenge battles, which, cool, but looks like the story stuff is the Volume 4, and that's later in the year, so yeah. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 looks good. 2 looks crap to me. I have X, thanks. Brian sent me his copy of X, so I have that. I'll be playing that at some point. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the expansion of that, the Taurine country or whatever it's called, that looks really good, but man, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 looks butt to me. And I've heard generally most people are kind of like, yeah, it's not great. But yeah, 3 looks really interesting. I'll probably skip 2 and go straight to 3 at some point. But yeah, it's the problem with loving RPGs. There's a lot of them, and a lot of them are really good, and they're long. So, hey, speaking of RPGs, Jared says, I think 2's story is better than 3. Oh, well, I can't change your mind because I don't know either story. But I will argue without playing either game that the character design in 3 is better than 2, because good God. 2 has some of the worst character design I've ever seen. Well, okay, it's not that bad, but it's pretty bad. Torna the Gold Country, Chicago, thank you. That's what it was. I was weirded out by that because I was like, oh man, this is terrible. Xenoblade 2 looks poo. And then the Torna Gold Country, I'm like, but this looks really good. What? So, but yeah, so Sunday stream. Tomorrow's Sunday, so we're streaming, and we're returning to what are we playing? Trails from Zero. And I promise I didn't grind over the last 2 weeks much. My levels are not, or my characters are not too terribly over leveled. Two character ass. Not sure what that means, but Torna very good. Torna looks good. I think that was sold standalone. Maybe I could just get Torna and ignore 2. Probably won't know what the hell's going on, but I mean, you can play. I mean, you have to buy Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition to get the Future Connect epilogue, whatever it's called. But I mean, I think you can select that straight from the start menu. You can play it without playing the base game. It doesn't matter. You probably shouldn't. But oh, you're saying 2 characters are ass, 2 characters are bad. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I don't know if they're bad characters. I just don't like the design. Torna has nothing to do with part 2? Oh, good. So, all joking aside, I did play a bit of Trails from Zero off camera. Didn't go anywhere new. I was just playing in the casino and got some money, so bought some new gear, unlocked a few slots in the orbment, bought a couple new quartz. Was, playing around on the road to wherever the hell we're going, and got some of the material that you can use to upgrade some of your equipment. So, I did that. So my characters are in a better place than they were 2 weeks ago. Torna is sold separate and is a prequel. Oh, okay. I actually did not realize it was a prequel. Or I knew that at one point and just plumb forgot. So yeah, I'm excited to get back to Trails from Zero tomorrow. Andrew's a gambling junkie in the trails of the sky. Yeah, so I played all the gambling games. Roulette's roulette. Blackjack's fine. Poker was the one that I found pretty easy to win, and like in an hour and change, I had enough money to buy 4 sets of shirts and shoes from the cafe casino sells a shirt and shoes set, and I forget what they're called, but they seem to be like the highest defense clothes that you can get in the city at this point. And I think they also have like plus some percentage to dodge or evade or something like that. So the pretty nice set. And after an hour or so, I ended up with enough money to buy a set of those for each of my characters, plus the dartboard or chess set or whatever it is, which is a prop for Randy's room. I didn't give it to him yet. I think that's one of those enhance your relationship with your buddies things. I didn't try that out yet, but I do have it in my inventory. So we'll deal with that tomorrow. So in the meantime, I am going to take my sealed copy of Baten Kaitos Origins on the GameCube and sell it for $300 and buy the HD edition when it comes out in the summer, whenever that's happening. No, I'll probably just stick with the GameCube version. As many of you know, my one of my New Year's resolutions is to finally complete Baten Kaitos, which I think I've been playing since like 2013. I've been playing that game for 10 years. Oh, geez, no, I've been playing it way longer than that. I think 2013 was the second time I stopped playing the game. Because I think Baten Kaitos is a GameCube game, so probably been playing that sucker for close to 20 years. Anyway. Alright, that's it for me. Join me tomorrow at noon Pacific Standard Time for some Trails from Zero goodness. Have a good night, everyone. Eat your veggies, wash behind your ears, in your ear, whatever the thing is. You know, do all the things that makes the parents happy. And unless your parents are big old jerk bags, then, don't. I don't. Alright, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.